All right, now let's look at the second normal form. Here's the academic definition on Wikipedia. To qualify for second normal form, a relation must be in the first normal form, and it should not have any non-prime attribute that is dependent on any proper subset of any candidate key of the relation. What is this supposed to mean? Let me make it super simple for you. The second normal form says that each table should have a single purpose. In other words, it should represent one and only one type of entity, and every column in that table should describe that entity. Here's an example. Our courses table has these columns: course ID, title, and price. So it has a single purpose. It stores course records. Every column in this table is an attribute of a course. So these columns describe a course, right? Now, what if we had a column here called enrollment date? We talked about this earlier. This is not really an attribute or a property of a course because a course can have several students, and each student will probably have a different enrollment date. So this column doesn't really belong to this table. It's not an attribute of a course. It's an attribute of the enrollment. That's why earlier we introduced the enrollment entity and added the date attribute there. So the second normal form says that every column in a table should describe the entity that the table represents. If we have a column here that describes something else, we should take that column out and put it in a separate table. As simple as that. Let's look at another example. We have this orders table with these columns: order ID, date, and customer name. This table is not in the second normal form. Why? The purpose of this table is to store our orders, right? So order ID and date are attributes of the order, and they belong to this table because they describe an order. But the customer name column describes a customer, not an order. With this design, if a customer places multiple orders, their name will be repeated, and this will create two problems. The first problem is that we're going to waste space. The second problem is that our updates are going to be painful because if you want to update the name of a customer, we'll have to change it in several places. So this column doesn't really belong to this table. We should take it out and put it in the customers table. Now, this customer's name is stored in a single place. We have not wasted space, and if we need to change this name in the future, there is only a single record that we should update. Okay? This is our second normal form. Now, sometimes this is not very obvious at first. For example, what if the column was called customer instead of customer name? You would say, well, every order has a customer, so this is an attribute of an order. So this column should belong to this table. But with this design, the name of our customers is going to get duplicated. Whenever you see that, that means your design is not normalized. So that's when you should ask yourself, where is that single place that we need to store the customer name so it's not duplicated? It's in the customers table. So we need a separate table to store all our customers. Then we reference our customers by their ID in the orders table. And that's why earlier I told you that primary keys should not be updated. So yes, we have duplicated the customer ID in this table, but that's a minimum duplication. We are duplicating integers that are 4 bytes long, not customer names that can be 50 or 100 characters long. Now take a look at the current design of our database. This design is violating the second normal form. In one of our tables, we have a column that shouldn't be there. So pause the video and think about this for a few seconds, but don't make any changes yet. When you're done, come back and let me show you how to put this database in the second normal form. All right, so our courses table is violating the second normal form because this instructor column here doesn't really belong to this table. If the same instructor teaches multiple courses, their name is going to get duplicated in this table. So we'll have to change it in multiple places. That's when we ask ourselves, where is that single place where we need to store the name of our instructors? It's the instructors table. So I'm going to add a new table here. Let's call it instructors. Here we're going to add 2 columns. The first one is instructor ID. What data type do we need here? Again, we need to ask the business. I don't think we're going to have 2 billion instructors, so the int data type is a little bit too big for this column. So I'm going to go with small int, which allows us to store up to 30,000 instructors. But again, I'm just making assumptions here. You should always ask the business. Now, let's also mark this as an auto increment column. Next, we add the name column of type varchar of 50. And this is not going to accept null values. Beautiful. So we're done with this table. Now we need to delete the instructor column in the courses table and add a one-to-many relationship between the instructors and the courses. Take a look. So in the courses table, I'm going to right-click the instructor column and delete it. Then I'm going to apply a one-to-many relationship here. So here's our one-to-many relationship. First, we select the child table or the foreign key table, and then the parent table. Now, our model is getting a little bit convoluted, so we can go to the Arrange menu on the top and select Auto Layout. That is a little bit better. So we have the instructors table over here, and here's our courses table. Now, we can see that the moment that we added this relationship, MySQL added our foreign key column. Let's rename this column to something shorter and easier to work with. So we're going to call this instructor ID. Now, because we have a new foreign key here, we need to go to the Foreign Keys tab and set the foreign key constraints. For updates, I'm going to cascade. For deletes, I'm not going to take any action. So if an instructor has a course, we're not going to be able to delete that instructor.